not telling each other that they like each other. No, I don't know. Reading this, it was all vibes. You're so freaking blind. Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. A bitch is back talking about books. And honestly, I have had to try to film this video 4 times. So this is my 5th time trying to film this video. I tried to make it very organized and try to organize my thoughts. And as I was doing that, I just, for some reason, just could not do it for the life of me. So I'm just going to talk about this book in no particular order, no organization to it, just me rambling about it, telling you all of my thoughts, just trying to let it out there. So what we're talking about today is, if you've seen my last video, you probably know, Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. It is a very, very popular book on TikTok, maybe last year. Earlier this year, last year, it was kind of an instant success. I believe this was Carly Fortune's first book, and a lot of people say it's very reminiscent and copy-pasted of Christina Lauren's Love in Other Words. I do agree with that, but if you don't know what this book is about, let's kind of get into a very brief overview of the synopsis. So Every Summer After is a dual timeline second chance romance book. It's a friends to lovers book where the girl, every single summer, she's from Toronto, goes from her bigger city Toronto life. Every summer she goes to the cabin, or is it a cottage? I think it's a cottage. Every summer, Percy, who's the main female love interest in the book, goes to a cottage every summer and falls in love with her neighbor named Sam. Over each summer, every single year, they develop their relationship, develop feelings. They start out as friends and then fall in love. It goes back in time every other chapter. So in the past, when Percy and Sam fell in love, this was 12 years ago. Something happened 12 years ago where Percy and Sam, on that last summer together, there's this big thing that happened that is a mystery to us as readers. We don't know what happened, and they ended up not talking to each other anymore. Future day, 12 years later, Percy gets a call from Sam's brother, Charlie, saying, hey, my mom died. Would you like to come to the funeral? And all of these past emotions and memories from the past get brought back up. And finally, Percy has to apologize for what she did. As readers, we don't know what she did. And that's the mystery you're trying to solve throughout the whole book. I'll be honest, I feel like it was really predictable what she did, like the whole twist of it all. But they do try to lead you away from that, which I found, I was just thinking like they're not setting it up to be like what the whole big mystery is. So there has to be something more to it. And it's exactly what you think the thing that happens, it's exactly what you think it's gonna be. A little bit about the characters. Percy, she is in the present day, 12 years in, present day. She is an editor, but she really wants to be a writer. She's always wanted to be a writer. She really loves horror. That's something also Sam and Percy used to bond over in their youth. They used to watch horror movies all the time together. And Sam grew up wanting to be a doctor because he had a history in his family of heart problems, and he wants to be very specifically a cardiovascular doctor. 12 years later, that is exactly what he becomes. And I believe that the funeral for his mom is because she died of some certain heart conditions. So yeah, pretty traumatic things happening in his family. Let's get into the things I did like, okay? The things I liked about this book was the tone. I feel like in the past and the present, you really feel the distinction of the feeling of it. In the present, you're going to a funeral, right? Percy is getting all of these nostalgia, memory coming back to her, and you feel a sort of weight to the future timeline. You feel, somber, kind of cloudy. There's a funeral going on. There's things that are unraveling. And then in the past, you get youthful, summer vibes, and you really do feel that distinction every other chapter. So I do like that about the book. I also feel like it's such an interesting read. I thought it was so chaotic. I was like, this book is so freaking chaotic, but I loved every single minute of it. By the way, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars not because the actual romance is a quality romance or the characters are quality characters, but because I had so much fun reading it. I like make so many YouTube videos now, right? I want to bring it back to a time where I literally didn't really judge a book too hard on like the actual goodness of the book. I just want to enjoy books for the enjoyment value alone. And if you really want something easy to read, something that you are really going to enjoy, this is one of those books. Like, you will really enjoy reading it. Like, it's just so fun. Although there are a lot of problems that I did have with it, I will say that, but we'll get into that a little bit later. As I was reading the book, I made a lot of notes. I probably could have done a reading vlog on this, but it was too late by the time I was almost done with the book. Sam has a brother named Charlie, and this is going to be a spoiler review, okay? Because I feel like I have a lot to say about how the book ended, and that was my main problem with the book. I feel like if you're a very character-driven reader, you probably will not like this book as much. Like, I feel like the characters aren't really that strong. I do think the story is really strong. Like, the story, like, wanting to see all the things unravel and exactly what happened is really fun to do as you're reading it. Except for the middle, where it kind of slows down, where you get the sense like, okay, she's doing this little race across the lake. You know, there's like scenes where Percy is trying to like do stuff over the summer, and then she like does this little race across the lake. It feels like the book is just trying to waste time, but that's besides the point. I do feel like, in general, I had a lot of fun reading it, and it was just the ending. It butchered a lot of the characters to me. But we'll get into that. And then also, yeah, I just felt like the lake scenes were filler. Like, they were just trying to fill up time to, like, do things. Like, nothing was really progressing. And then this is the one thing I do not like about dual timeline books, is that sometimes I get really invested in one certain timeline that when the next chapter we're going back to, like, the other timeline, I get so annoyed. And I just want to skip that chapter so I can go to the timeline that I favor. So this was me. I really favored the past timeline and Percy and Sam growing up and learning to love each other and developing feelings for each other, not telling each other that they fucking like each other. I really, really enjoyed that timeline. So when we went back to the present and then Sam was all grown up and he's like, my girlfriend is a lawyer, I was just like so over. I was like, I don't care. Like, we're just filling up time. Can we just get back to the past so I can see them fall in love? Sorry, meaning gum. Whatever. I really valued the past timeline and I felt myself enjoying that more. So that was a little bit of a shock every other chapter, trying to go back to a timeline I wasn't really enjoying as much. So that's a lot of problems that you're going to get in dual timeline books. I feel like the end was predictable, and we are going to get into spoilers right now. So the spoiler is what happened 12 years ago, what happened in the past. Sam has a brother named Charlie, right? And Charlie is a very familiar occurrence in the book. He's in the book a lot, likes to joke around with Percy, trying to hit on her. Okay, does Percy like cheat on Sam with Charlie? But the thing is like the author tries to kind of stray you away from that idea because of the present timeline. In the present timeline, Sam, Percy, and Charlie are all really chill with each other as if nothing really happened. I feel like if I'm Percy and I slept with my boyfriend's brother, I would feel really awkward around that brother, right? But there's nothing of the sort in this book. So it kind of does stray you away from that idea. But then they get to the whole thing. Like, what happens? Why did they break up? It's so predictable. It is Charlie. Charlie and Percy slept with each other. And this was also the first time that Percy had sex, too. And she was cheating on Sam with Charlie, basically, by sleeping with him. Percy felt so much guilt for doing it that she broke up with Sam. After Sam proposes to her? Yeah, messy. Okay? Sam proposes to Percy, and she says, I can't marry you, because she feels so guilty for sleeping with Charlie. And the reason why she slept with Charlie is because this is like so annoying to me. Like, she felt so lonely because Sam went away on a medical workshop. He had like this really prestigious workshop that he got into because he's super smart. He was having a difficult time fitting in that workshop. It was like long distance type of thing. And Percy felt so lonely and found solace in Charlie. Charlie low-key took advantage of Percy being in a vulnerable position because of that. But also as a brother, why are you gonna sleep with your brother's girlfriend? All of these characters become so insufferable in the end because that is one thing. That is one thing I didn't like about Charlie. But the one thing I will say about him is that he calls everyone out on their shit. Even though he is a shitty brother too, he calls everyone else out on their shit. Cheating is a two-way street. Charlie did not have to sleep with Percy. And this makes me kind of want to get a book in Charlie's perspective of what happened, like what his mindset was. I feel like Charlie really, really liked Percy, but knew that Sam was really into her. But like, you obviously didn't like her that much to like, I don't know. This is the thing about this book that I feel so conflicted on, is because all of these characters confuse the shit out of me. I have no idea what any of them are thinking. And the same thing goes for Sam, who's the main male lead of this book, right? Sam is Percy's love interest. Percy's the girl. And Sam is the love interest. Sam is the one who like wants to be a doctor, etc., etc. They have this whole thing in the middle of the book where they both know, Percy and Sam, when they're in youth, they're like 16, 17, whatever, both know that they like each other, but then he gets some words of wisdom from his mom saying like, oh, you know, you both have so much time. The most important thing is your friendship. You don't want to ruin it. He goes through this whole thing of saying like, hey, Percy, you are my end game. I love you. But I think I've never been a boyfriend. I've never had a relationship. I've never had a girlfriend. I don't know what that entails. And for you, I want to be perfect. So swoon-worthy, right? So freaking swoon-worthy. He says, I want to be perfect for you. He says this to Percy. Percy's like all heartbroken because this bitch also cannot read signals. Like throughout the whole book, it's pretty obvious that Sam is really into her, longingly look at her, gets a boner in front of her. There's this one scene where Sam gets a boner in front of her and Sam apologizes like, oh, sorry, that's just my body's reaction. And she gets so defensive. She's like, right, it's just your body's reaction. Yeah, you would do that in front of any girl, right? It's not me. You're so freaking blind. Anyway, that is besides the point. I'm going on that tangent, but which is why I feel like his character was butchered, because he goes through this whole thing of saying, when we get together, which we will, you are my end game. I want it to be perfect. You know, we have a lot of time. We're really young, but I want to be your end game. And there's always complications, you know, because Percy doesn't wait around. Percy gets a boyfriend, but she's not really into him. This, that, and the third happens. And then finally, Sam and Percy get together, right? Sam and Percy finally get together. Then he just kind of becomes a little bit neglectful of Percy. And they try to play it off. And this is what Charlie says. They try to play it off. Charlie says, here's the thing. The reason why my brother, Sam, the reason why Sam is being a bad boyfriend or kind of acting stupid around you is because he feels entitled to you, because he thinks that you and him are meant to be, that you are endgame, so that he doesn't have to try as hard. Which, I don't know, to me, when they said that and they tried to like play off his neglect of Percy, it felt out of character, because we had this whole section of the book where he said that when I'm with you, I want it to be perfect. I feel like we have a lot of time and I'm just not in the right place. I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me. Okay. So that's one thing, how they butchered Sam's character. Another thing, how they butchered Charlie's character is, why the frick would you sleep with your brother's girlfriend? Like, literally, how are you that bad of a person? I am just convinced that all of these people in this book are just the worst people ever. That's Charlie, right? Charlie, bad person. And then we get to Percy, main character, the lead of this book, the main female lead of this book. She is our POV, who we follow throughout the book. I was okay with her for most of the book, okay? I was fine with her. She was a fine and dandy character. I was vibes. Reading this, it was all vibes. I was like, oh my God, I'm loving it. This is so cute. I get the longing. I get the looks. I get the, miscommunication. They're not telling each other that they love each other. Percy is obviously into Sam, but Sam is kind of like a shy boy. They have emails to each other. Percy said, oh, this guy asked me out, but I don't know what to do. I'd rather kiss someone else, aka I'd rather kiss you type of situation. And then we get towards the end of the book where everything unravels. Percy became so infuriating. I am just so convinced that Percy is not a good person anymore. And it's not even just because she slept with Charlie. It's not even because of that, okay? In my eyes, I just feel like now Sam could do way better, because when they unravel everything, what happens, right? Throughout the book, Okay, we're gonna get serious, okay? Percy has a school friend, her best friend forever. Her name is Delilah. Delilah, she would spend some summers with Percy at her cottage. She's met Charlie. She's had crushes on Charlie, has a little crush on Sam. A little bit really into guys, which is not bad at all. Like, you do you, girl. I actually, at first, reading the book in the beginning, I was kind of like iffy about Delilah. But over time, I ended up really liking her. And then at the end of the book, right? The whole climax happens. Sam proposes to Percy. Percy says no because she slept with his brother, Charlie. Then Sam goes to college. He goes through a whole entire spiral of not dealing with the breakup well. The love of his life broke up with him. And then Percy also is just not dealing with everything well, feels so guilty for everything, contacts Sam, but Sam isn't answering the phone. But also at the same time, Sam and Delilah being Percy's best friend, go to the same college together. And one time, I'm on page 289, Delilah says, oh, I actually saw Sam at a party. And Percy's like, oh, how is he? Like, how is he doing? Delilah goes, it was at a party. She paused. Percy, he was really drunk. There was something un-Delilah about the way she spoke, something too gentle. Do I want to hear the next part? I asked. I don't know, she said. It's not good, Percy. You tell me if you want to hear it. I put my head down so my hair fell around my face, protecting me from the bustle of students. I have to hear it. Okay. She took a deep breath. He hit on me. He told me I looked good and asked if I wanted to go upstairs. The world stopped moving. I didn't, obviously. I told him to go screw himself and I left. Sam wouldn't do that, I whispered. I'm sorry, Percy, but Sam did do that. He was really, really wasted, like I said. You must have done something, I cried. You must have flirted like you always do, or told him how cute he was, or something. I didn't, Delilah said, sounding angry now. I didn't do or say anything to make him think I was interested. How could you think that? You can't blame me for thinking that, I said crisply. You know you're a bit slutty. You're proud of it. No, because that page, this chapter, the way that Percy was acting, uncalled for. It has nothing to do with Sam's romantic relationship. The way she acts around her friends, to even think this, to even say this in front of your best friend, saying that Delilah provoked something in Sam because Delilah is just instinctually a bit slutty. That is mean girl behavior. That is mean girl behavior. And once I read that, I was like, oh, no. This is such a red flag for Percy. Percy was giving me bad vibes towards the end of the book because, first of all, you cheated because you felt he wasn't giving you enough attention because he's dealing with his own shit, you know, going in this workshop and being in a big city. And he was ignoring you, yes, but like, he's dealing with his own shit. You literally, like, she only put herself first. The entire book, she only put herself first. And reading that, seeing how Delilah was opening up to Percy about how, first of all, she stuck up for her best friend, right? Delilah stuck up for Percy by saying to Sam, like, I'm not going to go upstairs with you. Go fuck yourself. And then on top of that, after doing all of that for Percy, after sticking by her best friend, says, are you sure you didn't do something because you're a bit slutty? That is such mean girl behavior. You can tell she is not a girl's girl. No. Because after this happened, Delilah had a right to not talk to Percy anymore, and she doesn't for the next 12 years. And then Percy calls her up and apologizes, and Delilah accepts the apology. I'm like, okay, Delilah's such a good person for accepting the apology, but literally, I guess people can grow. I haven't seen it from Percy, right? We haven't seen that yet. I guess people can grow. But her doing that gave me such bad vibes. I was not there for it. And then after that, I could give a rat's ass about Percy's happiness after that, because it made me think that the entire book, she was just putting herself first. And this made me recontextualize everything, right? Because throughout the book, she has a boyfriend that she could just kind of leaves hanging. Like this other guy that's not Sam. Sam is like the love of her life. but there's another guy that she thinks is nice that likes her. And okay, Percy is kind of real for this because she says, like, Sam asks her, like, oh, what do you like about him? Sam goes, like, I like that he likes me. Okay, wait, you're kind of real for that? But now it just makes me think, after reading that part, I re-saw Percy in such a different light because she was stringing along her boyfriend for over a year while she had feelings for someone else. It's very much giving Glimpse of Us by Joji of stringing this guy along because your first choice doesn't want you. And she wasn't really into this other guy. His name was Mason, I believe. Was it Mason? Something with an M. I'm gonna call him Mason. I don't know, but yeah, and it's like she always put herself first and didn't really give a thought about anybody else. This poor boyfriend was like head over heels in love with Percy, and Percy just could not care less about him. And then Sam comes along, also kind of cheats on her boyfriend with Sam by like kissing him. They did some stuff that shouldn't be done when you're with somebody else. And Percy says that, like, oh, I have a boyfriend, you should respect that. This couple, I guess, is kind of meant for each other because sometimes they're really stringing along other people because they want each other, which I feel like is messy. And it was so fun to read. But after seeing the way that Percy was acting, she literally only put herself first, was such a bad friend. Calling your friend a slut, your best friend who you grew up with, a slut. Not in a way that's taking back the word and like recontextualizing it, like actually calling her that is such mean girl behavior. I was so over her and her character after that. But I still gave the book a 4 out of 5 stars. I mean, like, come on. It was so fun to read. And I still loved the couple at the end. And they did resolve everything really quickly, but I feel like, honestly, that was kind of fine. I was okay with them resolving it quickly because the whole book was one resolution, right? Like, we were getting to that point. I didn't think that it was too fast or whatever. It made me also think Tessa Bailey in one of her books, I believe It Happened One Summer, that she said something about how we as readers expect the heroine in books, especially romance books, to be perfect, right? And expect them to be flawless and likable. We expect them to be likable. We put them on this pedestal of them having to be likable, but we don't give them enough space to be flawed, to be human. I don't know, she said something along those lines, and I really felt that. And after reading that in one of her books, in one of her acknowledgments, every book after that, I always try to do my best to give female leads in romance books especially a little bit more credit because I think we are really hard on them as readers. So I do want to say that I fully acknowledge that. But this book, to me, I just really was thinking hard about it and I don't think I could do it. I just feel like the things that Percy would think, the things that Percy would say, and her actions, and then just to break the camel's back, the way she treated her best friend. If I met Percy in real life, I would just think she would be so mean to me. Like, she would probably be a bully to me. I really thought that. Like, she's this really pretty girl who basically everything kind of works out for her. Boys kind of go after her all the time. And then she treats her friend like this and always puts other people second before her. If I met her in real life and I saw her, I would look at her, think she probably shops at Brandy Melville, whatever, and think that she would bully me. I really felt that, and I just like couldn't get behind it. So that's kind of my overall chaotic thoughts on the book as a whole. I have so much more that I could go into. That's through the characters, but like as a whole, right, the entire book, I really feel like this book could really be a good reread because when you get every single detail of what happened, even though it is predictable, Percy slept with Charlie and then this, that, and the third happened. After knowing all the events, even though it is predictable, when you reread it, I feel like it recontextualizes a lot of things and a lot of sentences and a lot of words. And I feel like that would be a really interesting reread. An example of that is that Percy gets panic attacks. And towards the end of the book, she gets a panic attack. It's in the present day. She's like hyperventilating, and Charlie, Sam, and a whole bunch of other people come out to help Percy like come back from the panic attack, you know, counting 1, 2, 3, all that stuff. And then Charlie asks her, looks at her, says, "It was a panic attack?" And there's a line, I forget exactly what page, I annotated it though, but I'm too lazy to look. She goes, yeah, I knew. She says something along the lines of, I knew what Charlie was asking, and knew that he didn't mean today. And when I read that, I was like, what is she talking about? If you were to reread it, you would know that she's actually talking about the morning after she slept with Charlie was her first panic attack. And I feel like the little things like that would be really interesting to reread. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Really good rereadability. Really chaotic, fun, messy ass book. Let's be real, let's be honest. These two main characters probably deserve each other. They probably deserve each other, and all credit to them. I wish them well, but Percy is a mean girl in my eyes. She would bully the shit out of me. I already feel it in my bones. All power to them. That's kind of my overall thoughts of the book. 4 out of 5 stars. I had a lot of fun reading it. Let me know your thoughts on the book below. I really went on a long tangent, and there was a lot of things I feel like I missed, but I wish that I did a reading vlog on this, because I could say my thoughts as I was reading this, but it is what it is. Please let me know your thoughts below. Let me know actually what you think about Percy as a character. I really wish we got another book or like a perspective of what Sam was thinking. I wish we got a book in Sam's point of view and Charlie's point of view, because the way they were acting was just so hard to read. And usually when it comes to romance books, that's the reason why I love romance books, is because I love reading between the lines. I love it when there's like a sentence that says like, oh, he clenched his jaw, and I know exactly why he clenched his jaw. You know what I mean? I love reading between the lines, but in this book, for the male characters in it, it was just so hard to read between the lines because it was all in Percy's perspective. I really wish we got a little bit more about what Charlie was thinking, about what Sam was thinking. Anyway, this video has been pretty long today. Please let me know your thoughts below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.